From PUBG to Fortnite, the emergence of battle royales has drastically changed the esports ecosystem over the past few years. But since Fortnite's explosion almost 2 years ago, the game has declined significantly in popularity, while League of Legends and CSGO have held steady. Enter Valorant. I believe that Riot's new tactical shooter is an amazing esport and has a chance to enter this upper echelon of esports titles. What makes Valorant have so much potential? To me, you can boil it down to two games from whom Valorant has taken developers, designers, and game patterns: League of Legends and CSGO. For starters, how does Valorant compare to League of Legends? At a glance, they seem like they have little in common aside from the developer. However, both games use a hero-based combat system. Even more than that, the champions in League of Legends and the agents in Valorant have well-defined roles that the developers use as a framework to guide how they're balanced. This opens up infinite possibilities for teamwork in Valorant, something that I believe will contribute greatly to its success as an esport. There are so many different ways to collaboratively use abilities, and this room for synergistic creativity is something that has contributed greatly to League of Legends' success as an esport, where viewership stays high even during low action metas because people want to see players at the highest level work together. On the other hand, we have CSGO. Valorant has taken a lot of inspiration from Counter-Strike, including the hiring of Volcano as a senior developer. Volcano is a former CS pro and map designer who most famously designed Cache, my personal favorite map in CSGO. From CSGO, Valorant takes its mechanical side. I think CSGO, despite being less popular than League of Legends, has thrived as an esport due to how enthralling the games are to watch. The game emphasizes simple gunplay and an economy system that means being ahead is useful, but coming back is much easier than games like League of Legends, where you can snowball to an insurmountable deficit. Similarly to basketball, a star player can take over a game and come clutch down the stretch, while in League of Legends your ability to take over a game can be limited by how much gold the other team has, even if you're the most skilled player in the game. Furthermore, the game is much easier to understand than most esport games, meaning that anybody can sit down and enjoy watching a game of Counter-Strike. Of course, I do not mean to say that execution and mechanics are not an important part of League.
Only have a man on the floor. I think he's in the bed. Oh, Faker maybe in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse. Look at the moves. Faker, what was that?
Or that Counter-Strike lacks teamwork. However, these two games shine in their respective areas and bring in audiences for very different reasons. Although I played more League than CSGO at the time, watching Cloud9 win the E-League Major in Boston was the most fun I have ever had watching esports.
Look at the time! Look at the time! There's 7 seconds to got the bomb! They're trying to build pyramids, but there's no more play! Stewie's won the round! We go to overtime! Cloud9 have done it! How have they done that?
Such back and forth high intensity matches are just much rarer in League of Legends, but can happen in Counter-Strike on any day, even if one team is better organized due to the mechanical nature of the game. Now, Valorant has the possibility to bring in the best of both worlds. The agents having abilities allows for more depth and variety from game to game, similar to how the champions in League create infinite possibilities for outplays and, very importantly, collaboration in any game. The round-based shooter economy gameplay means that anyone can watch and anything can happen in any round. In League games, the game can effectively be decided before 15 minutes, sometimes before the game even starts, and these are things that fans love to watch for. How is a coach going to handle another team's star player maining one champion? Who's going to draft a better comp? How do the comps stack up against each other? This is stuff that fans of League of Legends and Valorant will come to love. On the other hand, tactical shooter gameplay a la CSGO means that a game-changing play can happen at any given moment. Valorant knits together the artistry and harmony of League with the exhilaration and individuality of CS. You might say though that Valorant is not the first game to combine these things. Overwatch, for example, has a very good mix of teamwork and mechanical execution. First of all, Overwatch is an extremely hard to watch game, despite how fun it is to play. Following the action is very hard, and the game suffers from being too constant in its action in my opinion. People love to watch games with a more varied rhythm. Games like soccer and League of Legends, for example, have low action build-up to high payoff moments like goals or teamfights. Meanwhile, competitions like basketball and CSGO go from possession to possession or round to round, and each round has the potential for something great with a final result that's an accumulation of all the small peaks of each round. This is the model that Valorant uses, and I think it's great for captivating audiences and keeping the game interesting throughout. Many of the failed esports have suffered from an undefined cadence or flow to the competition, which leads to all the big plays just kind of starting to blur together. Valorant, thankfully, will not suffer from this problem. Moving on to the business side of the game, Blizzard made some significant mistakes in growing their game that Riot seems to be avoiding. For starters, Blizzard rushed to create the franchised Overwatch League right upon the release of the game. Within 1 year of the game's release, the league was already announced, and shortly thereafter teams began to buy in. This league was based in LA, and all the teams lived in LA for the inaugural season. This kind of had the unintended effect of stifling the growth of the game internationally. Riot's approach to League of Legends, where the game was grown for a few years through grassroots third-party tournaments before the stabled franchise leagues took the reins,
allowed the game to grow much more in areas like Korea and China, where League of Legends is now dominant. To add to that, the fact that the game is free to play is going to greatly bolster the number of people who are aspiring pros who can access the game.
To their credit, Blizzard did some things very well. They effectively leveraged their credibility in Asia and particularly Korea from StarCraft and StarCraft 2 to capture a large market for an FPS game, something that really hasn't been done before in Asia by a Western developer. On the other hand, you have Valve, who massively grew their FPS game and made it extremely watchable and succeeded greatly in the West, but failed due to various reasons ranging from content restrictions to lack of distribution to adequately capture a large market in Asia and grow their game outside of the West. Like Blizzard, Riot has tremendous credibility in Korea and the infrastructure through PC bangs to deploy their game widely. Riot Games is also fully owned by Tencent. This is the largest video game company in China and the world. China is a market that has boosted League of Legends from being the biggest game in the world to one of the most viewed things in the world, period. Paired with the fact that Valorant closely adheres to Chinese content guidelines, such as the absence of blood and skeletons in competition, means they have a massive opportunity in the biggest market in the world. Another thing to consider is that it is a well-established trend that games with more visually soft, cartoony, and bright graphics tend to succeed over their darker, grittier competitors. League of Legends has grown larger than Dota, Fortnite overtook PUBG, and with Valorant, Riot have gone with a more accessible, family-friendly style to try and replicate this pattern in the tactical shooter market. Of course, for all this talk about teamwork versus mechanics, grassroots support, franchising, art style, whatever, I have yet to touch on the most important thing of them all. Valorant is extremely fun. If you are watching this video, I assume that you have played Valorant or watched people play it. While the record-breaking Twitch numbers might be inflated by the drop system, the opinion of the people who play it has not. Not one of these streamers who play the game on Twitch or Mixer and fawn over the experience has been compensated a dime by Riot. From CSGO players to League players to Apex Legends players, the consensus on the gameplay is that it is spectacular. Getting kills feels rewarding, abilities feel great to play with and against, and the 128 tick servers feel smooth as ice. And for all the things I talked about before, that is what is most important. You could have the best business plan in the world, design a game that anyone can watch, has high teamwork and strategic depth, and stamp it with a Riot Games logo, and none of that would matter if the game did not feel so great. Because at the end of the day, esports are not about business. Esports are about the love of the game, and I think that this is a game that people will love for a long time.